boys and girls. So it has been a while. The first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to take the Chapter 5 test. Okay, so I know that it's been a long time since we've talked about cells and things like that. So you guys can use your book for this, and it'll be located on our Google Classroom for Monday, November 30th. Okay. So the second thing that we're going to do is after you submit the test, we are going to start a new chapter about plants. And this chapter is in our 4th grade science book, so it's going to be the green one, okay? So before we dive right into plants, I want you guys to watch this short video about a book and plants, okay? So it's got some silly pictures in it. And I think you guys will enjoy this. So Nicholas, Baker, Lucas, and Jacob, you guys have completed the test. So you will not have to. Everybody else will have to complete the test today, okay? So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Fast Food by Saxton Fryman and Joost Elfers.
See if we can't turn up the volume just a little bit. Hang on.
Your feet can walk and run and skip, but are they best for every trip? With skates, a walk can become a glide. A skateboard can extend your stride. Need something you can hold on to? A scooter might be right for you. If you cannot walk about, a wheelchair is here to help you out. Pedal hard aboard a bike, add a wheel, and it's a trike. Down snowy hills, you'll need some skis. Bundle up so you don't sneeze. Ice skates are for crossing ice, but on the snow, a sleigh is nice. Sometimes you'll want to travel far. Maybe then you'll choose a car. It might be wise if more of us would ride together in a bus. If you have heavy loads to haul, a truck will help you move them all. A fire truck speeds toward a fire full of heroes who inspire. But fire trucks can't hesitate. When sirens wail, please stop and wait. Trains speed along, click clack, to all the stations on the track. On water, it is best to float, so climb aboard your favorite boat. Some move by motors, some by rowing. Some only when the wind is blowing. If there's no rush, there's nothing finer than cruising on an ocean liner. Want to see the ocean floor? A submarine lets you explore. To travel far and fast, you fly in an airplane through the sky. A helicopter chops the air. It hovers and lands anywhere. Go by blimp or by balloon, or take a rocket past the moon. By foot, on wheels, by air or sea, I hope that soon you'll visit me. And this has been Fast Food by Saxton Fryman and Joost Elfers. And just remember, you are loved and you are created for great purpose.
Okay, so from that short story about fast food, we realized that plants are very essential to us, okay? So if there were no plants, how would life look different? So if you look on page 58 and 59 of our fourth grade science book, you can see the chapter title, and the chapter is called Life Process. Okay? So let's look at the questions up at the very tippy top, okay? So let's zoom in just a little bit. So it says, how are fruits and flowers related? How do plants make their own food? What is pollen? How are spores different from seeds? Do all plants need insects? And why do plants go dormant? So, in our last chapter, we talked a little bit about dormancy and what it means. It's when the plants appear like they may die. However, they're just conserving water and conserving energy so that they can survive the harsh winter months. Okay. So, throughout this chapter, we're going to learn a whole lot more about plants. And hopefully, by the end of the chapter, we will be able to answer all 6 of these questions. So let's look at our picture of a bee on top of a flower. What is that bee doing to the flower? Is the bee pollinating the flower or getting nectar from the flower? Possibly. All right, so let's turn to page 60 and 61. And if you would like to open up your book to page 60 and 61, please do so, okay? See when this thing will load. All right, so we've got our chapter title, and it is written in green. So that is one of our nonfiction text features, is that it's in colored print. Okay, so It's a Green World sticks out to the readers, and that's the title of this page. So let's zoom in so that we can read a little bit about this. Okay, so if you look at the pictures at the top, you see a rose, some cacti, and a wild onion. So if there were no plants, there would be no people, birds, insects, or animals. Plants feed us and keep the Earth's environment in balance. So have any of you guys ever seen the Bee Movie? So I went on Google and I searched up the Bee Movie, and it is on Netflix, and it's also on YouTube, the whole movie for free. So if you're bored at home and you have nothing to do, the Bee Movie is a wonderful movie that would show you how important it is for bees to be able to pollinate flowers and what the world would be like without bees or without flowers. So that's a really good movie that goes with the chapter that we're going to start reading, okay? So if we look over here at the picture's caption, it says a fragrant rose, a prickly cactus, and a smelly onion. Just some examples of the world's amazing diversity. And the word diversity means difference, okay? So there are lots of different types of plants out there that are completely different from one another. A cactus is completely different from an onion, okay? Some plants you can eat, some plants are just made for beauty, right? So diversity just means that there's a diverse type of plant out there, okay? So let's look at the heading, The Key to Life on Earth. Let's go ahead and let's read these 2 paragraphs. Zoom in just a little bit. Try to picture our planet without plants. What would it be like? The land would look like the surface of the moon, barren, bleak, and lifeless. Plants are what keeps us alive. Hidden inside their brightly colored petals and sweet fruits lies a secret, wonderful world. So it's even hard to imagine what life would look like without plants. And then comparing it to the moon is a very good comparison, because if you think about it, we wouldn't have grass, we wouldn't have trees, we wouldn't have bushes or any non-vascular plant or vascular plant. We wouldn't have any of that. So comparing it to a moon is a very good comparison. There are close to 300,000 different kinds of plants. Some produce beautiful blossoms. Others stand over 90 meters tall or have trunks wide enough to drive a car through. So let me read that sentence again. Others stand over 90 meters tall, which is about 295 feet tall, or have trunks wide enough to drive a car through. Can you believe that there are trees big enough that their trunks you can drive a car through it? Some plants smell awful, some are full of poisons, and some have powerful medicines stored in their roots and leaves that can save lives and ease pain. Many of the clothes that we wear and the homes that we live in are made from plants. Plants sustain our planet. So the word sustain means that plants are very essential, very vital to our planet. If we didn't have plants, then the earth would not have land, right? Because there wouldn't be any plants to fill up this space. So going back to where it says that there are some plants out there that help ease pain. Is there any plant out there that you can think of that helps ease pain? Think about in the summer and it's really hot and the sun is blaring on you. You're at the beach or at the pool, and your mom says, honey, you need to put on some sunscreen so you don't get sunburned, right? Okay, well, a couple hours pass after you put on the sunscreen, and what starts to happen? It starts to wear off. So if your mom doesn't remind you, or if you forget about reapplying that sunscreen, you're going to get sunburned, right? And then if you do get sunburned, it starts to burn and it starts to itch after it's starting to heal up. But there is a plant out there called aloe vera. Okay, and if you've ever seen it, it's these really long stems, and if you break it, like there's a gel-like material inside of it, and that's aloe vera. So you can buy it at a store in a bottle, or you can have a plant at home and break off some stem and put some of the ointment on you, and it will help ease the pain of your sunburn. So that's pretty neat that there are still plants out there that help ease pain. And if you think about in history, there were all of the Indians and the people before medicines had to use plants, things that were given to them to help them survive. So plants are everywhere. Plants can grow in all sorts of places and thrive in a wide range of temperatures. They grow in hot deserts and in the Arctic North, on rocky mountainsides, and along wind-swept ocean dunes. What is life like for a typical plant? Well, let's find out. So if we look at the picture of the girl holding some fruit, the caption will tell us what that picture is about. So the caption says, fantastic fruits. These Chirimea fruits grow in mostly South America in areas with cool temperatures. So when we were talking about behavioral and physical or structural adaptations, we talked about the animals and how they couldn't survive in a different environment because they're not adapted to it. Well, the same thing with plants. You can't necessarily grow a palm tree in Bluefield, Virginia because it's not warm enough, right? So the same thing with plants as with animals. They're not going to survive if they're not well adapted to it. So if we look at the picture of the tree, the caption says a leafy tail. Some trees' leaves stay green all winter. Those are called evergreens. Others lose their green color, revealing red, yellow, and orange before dropping off. These trees grow new leaves when the weather warms. So we just went through that with fall, right? All of our trees, or most of our trees that weren't evergreens, started to change colors and lose their leaves and lose their needles because they are going to be dormant for the winter. They're going to try to conserve water and conserve energy so that they can survive through the harsh cold winters here. Sorry. So let's look at this tree, okay? It says giant sequoias are some of the world's biggest and oldest trees. So we should know that sequoia trees are humongous thanks to our first reading story of the year, Camping with the President in Yosemite National Park over in the west. There are the big sequoia trees. And that's a picture of a car going through the trunk of a sequoia tree. So that's pretty hard to imagine. I assume that a car, it can't be a large truck, obviously, because then it wouldn't fit. But still, to fit a car inside of a trunk, that's pretty impressive for this tree. So if we go to page 61 here, we have 4 definitions, okay? So let's look at these definitions. We have photosynthesis, chlorophyll, pollen, and spores. So I'm not going to read these to you guys because you guys are fully capable of reading it on your own. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, put the paper on a desk, take your pencil and your hand that you write with, and I want you to write down these 4 definitions, okay? If you are an online learner, take a picture of the notebook paper that you write these definitions on, send it to my email. If you start typing in my name, it'll pop up and you just attach it as an image, okay? If you are an in-person learner, I want you to take a piece of paper, do the same thing as the virtual learners, write down the 4 definitions. Then I want you to return that piece of paper with you when you come to school next and give it to me so that I can check it off for you, okay? So your instructions, once again, are to pause the video, write these 4 definitions down, either send me a picture of it or bring it to school with you when you return. So if we look at this caption of this exotic plant, it is called I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, Bromelia. The best known member of this plant family is the pineapple. So we all know what pineapples are, but that's a pretty unique fruit right here. So let's read underneath the 4 definitions and see what those say. Every plant, from a brightly colored tulip to a smelly onion to a thorn-covered cactus, has special ways of surviving. In order for a species to survive, it must have food and water. It also must be able to reproduce, to somehow make new versions of its species. So I'm going to reread that sentence because we're going to start talking about reproducing with plants more. And when we completed a worksheet, living or non-living, it asked about reproducing, and some of you may not have known what that meant. So I'm going to read it one more time. It also must be able to reproduce, to somehow make new versions of its species. Knowing these keywords will help you as you explore the amazing world of plants. So I'm going to scroll back up just in case you haven't paused the video so that you can write these 4 definitions down. So after you write the 4 definitions down, you are going to go back to our classroom, and there is a Google form called It's a Green World. And this goes with our reading for the day in our fourth grade science book, pages 60 and 61. This is a Google form with 5 or 6 questions that I want you guys to answer, okay? So, I think there's 6 questions. After you answer this, you're going to click the submit button right here. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions before you are on your own. Number 1, if you just turn in the Google form, will you get full credit? No, you will not get full credit because A, you did not finish the 4 definitions, and B, you may not have completed the Chapter 5 test for the last chapter. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the directions one more time. However, they will be in our Google Classroom just for the people who might need that extra reminder. The first thing that you're going to complete today, Chapter 5 test. Nicholas, Lucas, Jacob, you have finished that. Number 2, write down the 4 definitions on page 61, snap a picture, or return the paper with you at school when you return. Number 3, complete the Google form attached to today's work. After you complete all 3 of those, you guys are finished for the day.